We're live. All right. All right. The time is 6:05. This meeting of the Fern Bluff Municipal Utility District Board of Directors is come to order. Roll call of directors. All directors are present and accounted for. Yay. Director Horton, would you like to give us the Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
Absolutely. Stand and salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Horton. Much appreciated.
I feel your pain. I said I feel your pain.
All right. I see Mr. Brian Schmidt here. So why don't you jump to the front of the line and give us your report, sir?
I like it. Thank you. I've got 5 items to talk about. This is that time of year where you're just praying for rain and holding what you got. So this has been nice. We've done a lot of seeding throughout the parks with Bermuda seed. So this is the warm temperatures and the on again, off again rain is just ideal for germinating seed. So I expect to see some improvements there. But first on my list is irrigation. We've made all the repairs. A couple of bigger repairs that happened last month is one was a 2-inch valve at Olson Meadows on the ball fields. So we had to replace that. That's like a $200 part in itself for $180 or something like that.
Not cheap.
And then one of the battery operated controllers at, I call it Big Cheatham, Wild Water Way. One of those battery operated controllers was dead. And we had one go out at Fern Bluff Park, but that was a power surge. We came to the conclusion. It's been a few months, but this was battery operated, so that wouldn't have happened. So I think it was just age, and it was an Irritrol. So we switched it to Hunter as we go through and start to phase out these controllers. Some of them will last another 10 years or so, but as they go out, we're getting everything to Hunter. It's the most user friendly. If I had to call Hector and say go out and do this, I mean, it's very user friendly. It's more or less like an alarm clock. But all the repairs have been made. There was other minor repairs throughout the parks, but some parks didn't need anything. But everything's good to go. I went by and turned off the irrigation everything has a rain sensor, so you're not going to see stuff watering above ground, or it's not watering below ground, but we've got rain freeze sensors at the new monument sign right there at the Greenbelt at Harryman Road. That one has a rain sensor, but again, it's a battery operated controller, so you're kind of under some trees there. So just to be careful to not overwater those new plants. I went and turned it off, but I'll turn that back on in a week or so. I mean, if it keeps raining like this the next couple days, that could go 5 or 7 days without water. It won't hurt it. So that's turned off. Green belts. We are in the middle where we would have finished Cheatham today, but we only worked a half day, and I had the whole company out there. But with all the rain, we had to stop for about 2 hours in the morning, off and on. Just didn't make sense for me to be out there. But we're going to go back in the morning, and then we should be able to finish up and then start Oak Brook. That's the next one that we'll do is Oak Brook. And with all this rain, I mean, we'll be playing, I don't want to say catch up, but we'll have a full plate the next month or so because all that blue stem will grow a foot overnight.
I hate that stuff.
The wildflowers are mowed at this point. There's a few areas at Cheatham where they miss, kind of tucked back in those trees that we're working on this week. But yeah, it's going to be blue stem. That native blue stem's going to be knee high in 2 weeks. So we'll be tackling that in the green belts. Next is the bed details. This time of year is when you start to cut back, like the salvias out here and some of the lantanas, and your native flowering perennials need a trim this time of year, and then you don't mess with it until fall. Like I said when I started out my little speech here, this is the time of year where you're getting stuff cut back and trimmed up, and then you kind of just wait out the rest and see, kind of wait for fall. When that temperature breaks, everything we're trimming will bloom again. Some of the stuff will bloom this summer. We'll get another bloom cycle, but the lantanas and some of the salvias, it'll be fall and they'll flush back out. The weed control and fertilization, that's going to start up next week. And after that one, you'll get one more in the fall. It'll be a fertilization and a pre-emergent, fall pre-emergent. Yeah. This time of year, it's weed control and fertilizer. So that's your third fertilization. You get one more in the fall with your fall pre-emergent. And that's all I got. Any questions?
Yes. Working with our playground people, we will need to do some pretty extensive tree trimming at Olson Meadows and at Brightwater. So I know
that on the big oak.
So really need to talk to an arborist and find out the very best time to trim that. Well, that one big limb is all the way over where the bench is and everything.
People are going to freak out.
They are going to freak out. But I want to make sure that we have somebody really good. At Olson, those are pecans, but we still want to be cautious. And
Sure.
I
know live oaks, they say the coldest and hottest months of the year, so this is prime time. But yeah, I can hook you up with an arborist.
We need to get an arborist.
I'll let him tell you that.
Exactly. I just think we need to really know when is the best time to. We only have that one big tree left there at Brightwater, so we want to be very.
I want to do something in this area where that other one was.
We've got a playground plan.
Oh, the playground's going to go through there. All right.
We'll have to water it.
Or fertilize it.
No, yeah,
Well,
we control there. Yeah.
Make your life easier.
Yeah.
Wait.
But that oak
we'll
tree,
do some irrigation. We're going to have to reconfigure a bunch of irrigation, whatever.
We're going to have a bunch of irrigation
Yeah.
that we need to change, but I'm the most concerned about that big oak tree. So just put that in your.
Yeah. So the other, I guess, I'm switching gears here. Back to the green belts. We're going to start plowing those wildflower areas to turn over that seed to try and get more bluebonnets to bloom. There's a bunch of seed down there. So we're going to till it and turn it over and add some more seed to try and improve the wildflower, designated wildflower areas.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Okay.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
We're a week away from being into August, and this is a time of year when you can tell things are just going to burn up all the rest of the summer, or maybe you'll make it through relatively unscathed. So how do we look? What's the condition like?
Oh, I mean, everything. We've been watering our 2 watering days. We've been able to cycle through everything for 4 run times. So each bed and I took that back. The gardens get hit twice, but all your grass is being watered 4 times. But it's just shorter run times, and we've been able to germinate. See, some of the parks had St. Augustine, and these cold winters have just. I don't know if it's like this on your street or in your yards, but the St. Augustine is really taking a hit. So I've worked with Janie about switching over to some of the parks have more Bermuda now because it's just more sustainable. So everything looks good, and we've been able to get some pretty good lawns going from scratch, from just seed. And as far as the beds go, I mean, this rain will do one. I mean, if it keeps raining like it has for the next 2 or 3 days, like they're saying, I mean, it'll be 3 to 4 weeks with no rain before you start seeing stuff burn up. So I think we're going to get through at least the first half of August just on this rain before you start noticing anything. So this is just
good,
perfectly timed. I haven't watered at my house. I haven't turned on my irrigation on my gardens or my trees. But I'm on the east side of 35 where it's a little more clay and holds on to more moisture. Over here, you start getting on the rock.
Wood. This has been so good.
Yeah. And it's good because it's like what the analogy I like to use is a new sponge under a water faucet. What's the water do when you just turn it on full blast? It just rolls off. If you squeeze it a little bit, that water starts to absorb more. That's this on again, off again is the type of rain that it might not fill up the lake, but for what we're talking about, ideal.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of goes back to that 4 run times in one day that we have to water. Let's say Tuesday, we're putting a quarter or a third of an inch on there every run time, to where it's almost like you're getting an inch of rain. But I mean, rainwater's the plants and trees and nature. It loves rainwater too.
Yeah.
So we're getting a deep watering by having it just kind of off and on throughout the day.
Very good.
Doesn't all run off.
But good.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
All right. Back to our regular agenda. This is normally the time for citizens communications. I see we have no citizens to communicate with us today. So mark that as done. Let's jump to the consent agenda. Do we have anything to remove from the consent agenda?
I do not.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion by Director Stemko, second by Director Smith to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Consent agenda passes. All right, let's jump back to, we pretty much did parks. Parks is done.
Mm-hmm.
Agenda item number 7, fiscal year 2024, 2025 budget and 2024 tax rate. Ms. General Manager, would you like to start us off on
Sure.
discussing this?
I left each of you the most updated draft version of the budget at the dais. I guess some of the highlights, let me get to. This is kind of my general manager's report too, like on page 30. We've received our certified property appraisals from Williamson County. We've had a 7.6% increase in valuation from last year. Budget committee met, and the budget that you see in front of you is what we discussed in the committee. We recommend that we lower the MUD property tax rate from 20 cents per $100 value to 19 cents per $100 value. Our sheriff costs are going up. That's been taken care of. We put it in the budget. The vehicle cost for the deputies is also going up. So we went through and put all of our, contract increases, garbage and everything in the budget. Our service rates for our water, wastewater, and garbage, they will need to increase. Obviously, everything's going up, but they're not terrible increases at all. The water rate will go up $1 a month. Sewer will also increase $1 a month, and the garbage will increase by $1.50. So that's a total of, where's my trusty little, $42 a year per customer per year, not month. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. If you look at the calculator page, it's at the front of your budget. It's pretty much spells it out right there. One thing, we always budget for a tax collection rate of 98%. Ours is normally higher than that, but that is a good number to use just in case. What else is on here? All of the park plans are in there. Tennis court renovation or completely remodel is in there. So we're able to do all of those projects that we have been saving for several years and still lower the tax rate.
Cool.
So there's my report.
Quick question. I know we were talking about a new equipment purchase sometime. That's not in line for next year or this next
What
budget?
equipment purchase?
I thought the Kubota,
No what?
the front loader, the payload, the front loader. I thought you guys were talking about changing that out or something.
We're
No?
good right now. The last repair worked.
Okay.
if we do need to do that next year, we'll just come back to the board and we'll do a budget adjustment at that point. But right now, we're fine. The one thing that
Good.
we may need to look at is our small pickup. It's a 2012. It's got 115,000 miles on it. There is a possibility we may need to buy another vehicle next year. We've all sort of talked about it. Do we buy a full-size truck or do we replace it with the same size? My recommendation is we buy another small size. That thing is used a lot in the areas that it's hard to get to. It's good to be able to have it fit on our trails and our paths, and it can pull. It's 4-wheel drive,
Mhm.
and it can pull the small trailer. But it's had several repairs this last year, so we're getting right there with it.
Okay.
But again, if that becomes a need, then we'll come back to the board and
Okay. I just
discuss that.
recalled
No,
some
good.
conversation on that.
No,
I just,
good thought. Yeah.
I'm glad we
Nice
can.
to have, but
Yeah.
need
Well,
is like,
Well, we're kind of concentrating on our parks this year, so
like I said, I'm good with it. I just remember the conversation, wondered if it was
good memory. Good
Well,
memory.
sometimes.
Well, and as far as a new truck, 110,000 miles for an 11-year-old truck is really not that much.
It isn't.
I mean,
It truly
considering
isn't.
that
I mean,
it usually stays in this general area, right?
it does. But when we start spending $2,000 and $3,000 on repairs several times a year, you kind of get to where, at some point, how would I say this?
Well, if we're spending $2,000 or $3,000 a year on repairs,
No, that's per repair.
well, per repair, and we're having to do that 3 or 4 times a year, and we're having to continually do it, I don't think it's time. Yeah, a new truck would be nice, but I think it's time to get a new repair person.
I drive a 19-year-old vehicle. It's cost me $38,000 over 19 years to keep it on the road. I made a commitment to do it. It just when they start getting old, I've driven it out of the repair shop and had to take it back 5 minutes later for a different repair. So I don't know.
Well, that's why we didn't budget for it. It's like we're at that place to where how much do you keep putting into it,
Mhm.
and at what point do you replace it?
Well, I mean,
You know.
plus, also at the same time, in the current budget, we've got we've got 251,000. The fiscal year 24-25 budget. In that budget, there's $250,000 a month.
Say that
Our
again.
10 or 15 a month.
for what?
capital project 16,760.
Oh,
Those are parks.
that's the
Well,
part.
I know that's for parts, but
Right.
if we have to trade off because
Exactly.
we need a new truck, then we'll do that.
Exactly.
But
That's
I'm
that's
saying
exactly my
that-
point. That's why we didn't budget for it.
Yeah.
Because if the need is there, then something may need to be delayed, whatever. But yeah. I just want y'all to be aware. I don't want to just come into the next meeting and go, yeah.
As far as vehicle repairs, that stuff's getting expensive anymore. I'm looking at several on the car I drive right now, and I'm in the same boat as, do I get a new car or do I fix this and see how soon before something else breaks? So, and every time I need to get, I used to call the check engine light the $800 light. Well, now it's the $1,200 light.
Well, no, that's exactly
So,
right.
If you're lucky.
if you're lucky,
If you're
yeah.
lucky. Yeah.
And
So-
and it goes into everything else we have going on. Sometimes getting the parts is a very long period of time, and when we don't have that vehicle for 2 weeks because it's sitting in the shop, you have to weigh that. You know what I'm saying? And that we're doing fine right now, but it's kind of getting at the edge.
There is an operational impact to not having it.
That's exactly right.
Well, have you set a cost threshold as to when you think it's going to be time to move on to another truck? I mean, given the repairs that you're already experienced, I mean, there's got to be, I mean, typically, if somebody was, has a car, they're going to look at the return on investment of buying a new car versus putting money into this one. And eventually it's going to be buy a new car because your payments are going to be
What's the return on the repair?
return on repair. Anyway,
I think the last discussion we had, it was like the next major repair, if it is a transmission or if it's something like that, then we've got to have the conversation. Do we put that much more money into it to replace that transmission when the drivetrain or whatever may go out, in a month from now? That's just kind of where we are. You're right in the sense that it doesn't have a ton of miles on it, but it's hard miles.
That's
A
what I
lot
was
of it's driving
wondering,
around
the-
here, but it's also, out in the
off-
field and
off-road,
everything. It's
yeah.
kind of tough miles. It's not highway miles. So,
okay.
All right, so tonight we need to vote on a proposed tax rate and call a public hearing. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
and I think we need to approve our draft budget. We'll
The, y'all historically don't vote on your budget until the tax rate
and that will
hearing.
be in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
August
So
meeting.
you-
Got it.
Yeah, historically y'all do budget, tax rate hearing, and then tax rate vote.
Got it.
Yeah. But if you want to have a, I don't know, a procedural vote, I guess, just to put
Well,
the-
do y'all
the-
have
the
any more
proposed
questions
draft
about the
out there, you
budget?
can,
Yeah,
but otherwise.
because
you
that
should know.
obviously weighs on our tax rate.
Yeah.
Are y'all comfortable with us? Given the market right now, it is a tough thing. Real estate market is very much in flux right now. I can say to the entire board what I said to the budget committee, that conservative piece in me, seeing the volatility, would be to say, maybe we should stay at 20 cents. But we ran a lot of numbers, and even lowering the tax rate, say we take a 10% hit next year in our appraised values, we're just fine. We can operate just fine. So I'm very comfortable with the 19 cents.
Yeah. I think it's great that we can do 19 cents because if you look at all the, the water rate and the garbage collection, all that stuff's going up. Inflation is really hitting us in this budget, something awful. And I think it's great that we manage our costs and our expenses effectively enough and we're lucky enough to live in Central Texas where, the real estate market hasn't dried up completely. Even though it's not, I wouldn't say it's doing great right now.
No.
The fact that we can look at the numbers and say, you know what, we can still lower taxes. I think that's a great thing. So, all right. I will make the motion that we adopt the tax rate of 19 cents per $100 valuation for fiscal year 24-25, and that we call a public hearing on the proposed tax rate on August 20th. Is that correct? Fourth Tuesday?
27th, isn't it?
Yes, sir. 27.
27th, August 27th.
Yeah.
So I have a second.
Second.
Second by Director Barnes. All in favor? All right, the motion carries 5-0. We have a proposed tax rate for next year, and the public hearing will be August 27th.
And that'll be held during the board's next regular meeting. Is that right,
Correct.
Mr. President? Okay,
Correct.
I just want to get that down for the record.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And we will, unless Janie tells me otherwise, we will publish in the Round Rock Leader, the public notice, which we've historically used them.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Roads Committee, do we have anything new?
No.
Nothing for
Unfortunately,
roads. General Manager's report, you did a big chunk of it. Is there anything else to add?
I did. Let me go look here. No, we pretty much covered everything in my GM report. I did want to bring up about the tree. That one big branch that's in the big oak tree at Brightwater, that's the one that's got to come out. And as we're learning, as we go through all of this park planning and everything, ADA requirements have changed, stiffer, whatever. And, probably needed to take that limb out for a couple of years. But I think everybody in the district is very attached to that limb. But there'll be I think, went out there and I took a bunch of pictures up under it. And I think there's a way that we can take that lowest one off. And it actually, the tree's going to look really good. But people will be concerned when they see that.
Gotta love the tree.
Exactly. Well, after losing that other one, people
Yeah.
are just like, oh my goodness.
Well, but you know, taking some of the excess weight off, it helps as well when it gets frozen.
Mhm. But that's how the kids get up
Yeah.
and then go up the
Yeah.
limbs. So
Yeah,
we'll try to help them find a way.
Where's this one
At Brightwater Park,
Brightwater.
we had these two huge oaks right there, and the one
I
cracked.
remember the one. Yeah. I went and investigated it. It was sad.
Super sad.
All right, Budget Committee Director Barnes, we have anything additional to add on the budget?
Nothing really to add on the budget. There are a couple of concerns that I noticed on the, between the register and the P&L for the last couple months. Brought this up last month. There were a couple of things that are still not showing up on the P&L. For one thing, looking at, first off, so in June, well, over the course of the past 2 months, we have paid out in legal fees $20,845.77. On the P&L, it is actually only showing $18,360, which is a difference of $2,485.77. So, you know, I don't know if that's going to come back up, if it's going to show up in the next P&L or what, but
Yeah.
That's still, I mean, there's a difference there. So the other thing is, as far as I brought it up once again last month, the parks, we paid Texas Lawn and Garden. Well, between Texas Lawn and Garden, the Monument, and Whirlix, that was like $125,480. That is still not all showing up on the P&L. So I don't know who we need to talk to about that, but
No, it is. It's in the capital account.
no, it's not. Is it in the P&L capital account, or is it in the? Because according to the capital outlay, so for June, the capital outlay and improvement is $44,744, which is slightly, I mean, that and what we paid to Texas Lawn and Garden, that's still over budget, or that's still over. And so,
I probably should explain how these P&Ls, kind of what happens between one month to the next.
please do.
We try to give you guys a snapshot of what the P&L is for the previous month when Debbie starts pulling it this week, okay? If an invoice comes in after this is pulled that is actually a June invoice or May invoice, as an example, she goes back and codes it to May. I don't then bring y'all an updated P&L for a previous month. It's just going to be in the yearly expense, okay? So sometimes you'll see that a little, it happens that way just because how the invoices come in or how they are paid. So this is not, I'm not sure how to say this.
Reflective.
It's not completely reflective of the month necessarily. There can be changes or additions or subtractions. Okay.
So, all right. Well, I guess that answers those questions. So, is that last updated, like last month's P&L that was updated, is it available somewhere?
Oh, I can get you.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you?
Just email it.
Yeah.
But no, other than that, I think that we pretty much kind of talked about most of the budget stuff already. So directors, take the budget home, look it over, and we will discuss it more next month. That's all I have.
All right, very good. District Community Center Committee, anything to report?
No.
Repairs, usage, nothing? Okay.
No, our air conditioners are still working.
Very nice.
Deed Restriction Committee, Director Horton, you have anything?
No updates.
Yeah, I don't have anything either. Security Committee, I know we're gonna, in the proposed budgets, an increase to the patrolling deputies, and then also for the vehicle cost. Do we have to vote on that? Is that a contract?
We probably should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I need you to sign these before you
Okay.
go back. If the board's okay, I can sign the amendment for the hourly increase, but the county's pretty picky and I need you to sign this one
Will do.
for the vehicle.
Okay.
Nothing will start until October 1 into the new fiscal year. They're not changing it mid-budget year.
Okay.
It won't start until after October 1st.
Okay. So I will make the motion that we increase the rate in the standard agreement with the Sheriff's Department to reimburse for deputies' vehicle usage at the rate of $14 per hour. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Director Smith. And just be
I didn't know you were going for it.
Did we do that last month?
We just talked about it.
talked about this is to
Yeah.
approve it
Okay.
and the contract. All right. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We'll get the contract signed whatever you need. We'll get it done.
I'm sorry, who seconded that? My apologies.
Motion by Director
Lawrence.
Sabatino.
Barnes.
Either way.
Marcus.
Director Smith.
Let y'all arm wrestle later.
All right. I think that's it for security committee stuff.
Sheriff's name is on this. Just in my walk in the neighborhood, I'm seeing a lot of cars rolling right on through stop signs on Brightwater. And once the sun sets, I like 1 in 3 after 10 p.m. easily.
Is it Seash or other places?
Actually, I see it the most at Fern Bluff, but some at Sea Ash. But I think maybe Sea Ash, maybe the runners are used to them, maybe being a police car sitting there in the parking lot.
Okay.
But if they park a car there on Fern Bluff at dark, in the dark. So like after 8.
Yeah, okay.
Do you
All
think
day long.
All day?
Do you think they
All day long.
don't do the sign, or they just know and blow through?
Oh, no,
they
they blow
blow
through
through
it.
them.
They blow
They
through it.
absolutely blow through them.
It's not a visibility issue.
Oh,
No.
no. Oh,
Okay.
no.
I did get an email from the sheriff's department about a covered stop sign. Well, it was a branch hanging over, but it's the HOA, which I've notified the Stone Canyon HOA about that tree.
It is trimmed. I
Yeah,
noticed it
Perfect.
yesterday.
They were very, receptive. So
That's good.
no, this is everywhere. It's everywhere.
You see,
They slow down
see
and
them
they
left,
wait to
touch the
see
brake.
if you're going to stop, if you're opposite them. And if you look like you're stopping, they keep going.
oh no, there's fewer traffic. When I see it, it's more often there's fewer cars out on the road. So typically,
Yeah, I see
I'm
that
walking towards the
too.
intersection. They don't see me. But
Ooh.
if I was running towards the intersection, and assuming they're going to stop, we'd have an issue.
It's all over Williams County. The deputies are doing their best, obviously, with the number of deputies that we have. Our guys, I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
Williams County's a big county, and we don't have enough
Staffing issue.
deputies. It is,
That's true.
and every year, Sheriff's Department requests additional funding and additional deputies. Our deputies are really good. they know we have a traffic issue here on their after hours, but there's just not enough deputies countywide to do.
And in our area, I mean, part of the problem is like last month, we had 84 hours of patrols, and I mean, that's not enough, but we can't afford to pay them
No,
more. I mean,
That'd be
they
big
have a
expense.
day job too, so.
and they're working.
and they're
That's
working all over
exactly
the
right.
county.
That is exactly right. People just drive differently now.
Well,
I think COVID broke people on the. I really think things have changed.
Well, I also think though through here, with people discovering the street that's called Creek Bend
Yeah.
as a cut through to Avery Ranch, they just, okay, we'll blast through, the light's green, they'll hit that. I'll see it suspiciously unload and down, come back, they're going 45 throughout light. They roll up to Fern Bluff, lift, keep on going, and I'm on the expressway at Avery Ranch. So
It's very concerning to me, and I've talked to our liaison about it in front of the elementary school on Park Valley. There at Persimmon Springs, our guys, they're like, they can't believe how many people just blow through those stop signs,
Yeah.
And at Glen Canyon, it's Broken Branch. It's terrible.
Well, and then our traffic issues are gonna multiply by 500% when this little road.
Lemon Springs finishes going through.
Is there any value in one of us like capturing video people blowing through these intersections and giving it to the county commissioners or something?
The commissioners know.
Okay.
Our commissioner knows. There's nothing law enforcement can do
Unless they
with
see
the
him.
video, huh?
Yeah, unless they see him. go
Unless
through
they see
with
it.
them, so.
Right.
10 years ago, if we were to get some pictures like that, maybe they could have had a conversation or something, but it's just not allowed at all anymore.
Yeah.
It's
I've seen
just society right now, and I agree with you. I think COVID just broke everyone.
I'm wondering if, I've gone to quite a few places near my daughter's now and everything where the stop signs actually have flashing lights around them, right? As a reminder, hey, there's a stop sign here and you can see it far enough back. I wonder if there's any.
Is that a
value.
residential area where that's at?
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing I would worry about. With
Yeah.
houses keep coming in people's windows.
Well, they're not that bright. They're facing the oncoming traffic,
Right.
right? But it's just the sign is encircled in red lights that flash as a reminder. Hey, I'm here, But I don't know if they have any of them around here or not. But food for thought.
No, quite honestly, not all of the people blowing through the stop signs are non-residents. And most people have their drive patterns. They know the stop signs are there.
Right.
They're just choosing not to.
I mean, I would hate to have to see more traffic lights on Brightwater because people are ignoring the traffic signals, the signs. But it seems like that's the way it's going to go because they're not going to put speed bumps in the road. They're more likely to say, all right, well, and it's going to take an accident, unfortunately. That's what happened at Great Oaks and O'Connor. Pedestrian got hit and killed, and next thing you know, there's a light going up. So hopefully we won't get to that point.
Well, I do think it'll be a different world when Wyoming Springs extension is put in, and our county commissioner is willing to have any discussions needed because she knows and she's concerned about the elementary school as well.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of discussions going on, whatever. But there is just nothing other than, being in the car with them and whacking them and saying, babe, stop at the stop sign. I just don't know.
I do have one other security committee related item. Williams County Sheriff's Office opened up their next enrollment for the Citizens Academy. So I'm not sure if it's still open. I forget what the cutoff is. So if you have any interest at all, register. It's like one night a week for 10 weeks. I think they did it Thursday night when I did it. It's 2 hours a night. It is a great program. So I'd encourage any of y'all to do it if you're so inclined, if it's still open. So, all right. Next item, communications. Director Smith, do we have anything?
Only looking back in the minutes from the last meeting, we talked about putting an insert in customers' bills, advising them of the solid waste collection times and dates and the bulk solid waste removal options. So I don't know if that got done or not. I didn't check my bill.
Say it again.
We talked about, we suggested adding an insert in customers' bills, advising them of solid waste collection times and dates, and bulk solid waste removal options. Such as, if you miss the bulk trash days, then you pay.
No, we haven't done that, but we can definitely
So that was,
do something like that. As a matter of fact, I need to set the fall book hookup.
Mark, I'm sorry, was that a correction to the minutes? It came verbatim while I was looking at it, so.
yeah, it's in last
Last week, yeah.
month's
Yeah.
minutes. I was just rereading it from there
Okay.
as a
okay.
reminder
Okay, I
that.
thought Scrooge
I
talking about
just
last
didn't-
month.
We haven't done it, and we're going to put it in the
Okay.
newsletter too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is there, from a newsletter perspective, is there anything you need from me specifically to write? Or, I don't think we got any real, other than that, we didn't come up with
No,
any additional topics.
If we wait until after the next meeting, we can put tax
Oh,
rate and
tax
all
rate,
of that stuff in it.
That
Yeah.
sounds good. Okay, so anyway, that's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you.
So if I may
Yes, please.
interject.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of going back to the operations report. We're looking at basically upping our game in the backflow program. So just want to give the board a heads up, there's going to be some letters going out to targeted residents at first. Likely it'll be Oak Brook area. Basically saying if you have a backflow preventer, it will need to be tested. Right now the law requires that the unit be tested upon installation, and that's it. But for protecting the public's water supply, once at installation is not, it's just not enough to protect us against any kind of backflow situation. So in the interest of staying superior water system, we're just going to need to ramp up our program a little bit more. And right now we follow what Round Rock does. So Round Rock tests every 7 years. So we're just going to emulate that. And for those who, don't have a test on record, basically it's like, okay, we need to have that device tested. So
Okay.
just want to give the board a heads up. If you get any phone calls or whatever, it's definitely to protect the public water supply and our residents. So,
These are the backflows that are in the ground
yes.
between the house and
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, and for those who have a swimming pool with an automatic fill device, that's a high hazard, and that needs to be tested every year. So there's definitely a difference on that one. So, but yeah, letter will explain if we find out they've got an autofill or whatever, then that's going to be a test that happens annually. So.
So everyone doesn't have a backflow device, do they?
If you have a professionally installed irrigation system, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a requirement. You're not going to get an irrigator to install a system
Without backflow.
without a backflow.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to give the board a heads up. Like I said, it's it's going to be
What
standard.
was the typical cost for a test like that? I know I asked that before and I can't remember.
It'll go from about $75 to $125, depending on the vendor. Jeremiah's a certified tester. I'm a certified tester, but we don't test in district, just out of policy. We don't want to have to do lifetime warranty on whatever kind of work we do. So
That makes sense.
So
But
does
yeah,
the property owner hire the vendor and then they have to give the results to us?
Yes.
Is that how that works?
Yes. So we have a program called BSI Online. So yeah, what we're going to go out, do a survey, get that unit, put it in the system. Resident gets a letter, and they'll have 30 days to test it. Of course, Round Rock's policy is like, okay, if you don't test it, then we're going to come in, test it for you, and basically little fine structure, whatever that may be. But for the most part, if they get a letter, you'll have some folks that just toss the letter or whatever, and require some phone calls or additional letters or whatever. But they've been pretty good. But yeah, test cost, 75 to.
I mean, does the MUD have the authority and the right to go in there and do the test like Round Rock is doing, and then charge the homeowner for the service?
We have to protect the public water supply.
We
so,
do. We
yeah.
probably need to make a change to our rate order to put that in there.
So it's either that or shut off the water, right? I mean,
So
And we're going to do it in such small groups that we can be very
We want to be light on ourselves.
light and hands-on, okay, with our residents. So it's not like we're going out and sending out 1,000 letters.
Right.
So first, we're doing it in
Do it in
small
groups.
groups. Mhm.
But this
So
will be
what
the
we've done, we adopted City of Round Rock's regulation, by reference. So whatever Round Rock is doing, that's what we've adopted. So
so when we're ready, we should probably put that in the newsletter to watch out for the letter.
and that's kind of why I waited for this
You
part.
may.
Just
You may get a letter that says you need to do this, and no kidding, you need to do this.
the letter will apply to you if you have a professionally installed irrigation system.
Right.
Any other reason you would have a backflow
Or,
prevention
or,
system.
or a pool.
Well, and if you don't have a
And or-
professionally installed irrigation system, that could be an issue.
definitely an issue. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. There's a lot of folks that have that valve box buried under their really nice grass. Sometimes they're hard to find, but now what we're starting to do, anytime we go check for a leak or do some kind of repair, we'll get the serial number, we'll put it in the system, similar to the park at Olson Meadows. We're just trying to get everything into the system. That
Yeah.
way we can manage it
Document it, yeah.
better. Yes, sir.
Makes sense.
But yeah, just a heads up. And
Okay, and we're not going to recommend any certified inspectors at all.
Good
That-
idea.
well,
We can
there-
come up with a list.
there's a list of certified testers who, we actually have to go through, submitting our license, submitting our device, make sure it's tested annually. So, there is a list of approved testers. Round Rock has a much larger list than we do, but if you look at,
Is it online?
I'm sorry.
Is it an online list
Yes.
or a paper? So we could, when we put that out there, we can say, if you're looking for a tester, here's a list of
Yes, that's
official, of certified testers that we're
Correct.
aware of.
So what'll happen, we'll do the survey, we'll input it in the system, and then that residence will get basically an identifying number. And once you get that letter, it's like, okay, you go online in the system, input that identifier, and it'll pop up a list of, okay, these are the folks you can call. We've vetted them as approved. So
Who certifies the testers? TCEQ?
TCEQ. Yeah. In fact, what is it, in October? I think last October, last June, we had some testing. We actually host the class for the testers, which is cool because they're very expensive, and because we host, we get
Get a
a free
break.
seat in the class. So, but yeah, that's when we have all these tables in the back. That's for the students taking, re-upping their hours or CEUs or
Okay.
whatever. So
Good deal.
there it goes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
One other thing.
Sure.
Our IT people are really, really great. We were not affected with this last little,
So running off a Commodore 64 is a great idea.
it is completely. I'm just giving them some really good brownie points, as well as our billing system, AVR. They did not have any issues either. Other than it's not AVR anymore.
I3.
I3 verticals, but they did not have any issues as well. So
Good.
I mean, that's when your heart stops. You're like, everybody that's Microsoft that, that started dribbling out, and you're like, I'm texting Hector and he's out of town. And I'm like, I told you I hated Microsoft.
She really hates Microsoft. But along that vein, I think I mentioned it last month, but we're looking at upgrading our security appliances.
Mhm.
Generation 7 is out now, and we're on 6. The benefits of just keeping up with the times, it's a good idea.
It has served us well.
And we've had this existing appliance for 5 years, maybe 6. So probably time to just update our stuff.
All right. Good deal. Good to hear. All right. Next item, attorney's report.
I don't have anything to report, Mr. President.
No news is good news.
Yes, sir.
I don't know about that.
Sometime.
You're not in trouble. You're good.
Let's confirm our next meeting date, August 27th. Good for everybody. That's when our public hearing is on the tax rate within the regular meeting. So put that on your calendar. Do we have any future agenda items we need to address? Well, we already know the tax rate and budget will be on there.
Rate and budget.
Okay. Can't think of anything else. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned from Director Barnes.
I'll second this.
Second by Director Horton. All in favor? Our motion carries 5-0. This meeting is adjourned at 6:57 a.m. or p.m.
Bing, bada bing.
p.m. Asked a question of Brian Schmidt. I'm like, I said I wasn't going to ask you a question. You did. I'm excited. I hope the night works out.
Oh, yeah.
Really